Welcome back to Talking with Tony and the Alfa. Jim Moore is my guest. Jim, how ridiculous is this whole concept right now?
Well, I don't know how things work anymore. We were just talking about, it seems like everyone's doing a podcast, and lately people have been doing videos from cars, and so I feel privileged to be with you here today.
Well, you know what I'm.
Did I sound sincere saying
No,
that?
no, that's okay. It was close.
Yeah.
My goal, you should be a speechwriter for some of our leaders in America. But anyway, my goal is just to make people laugh as much as I can. It's always been that way.
Mm-hmm.
And if I make one person laugh, or 5 or 500 out of the event, then that's cool.
Well,
now,
you're going to make me laugh today.
Well, that's a good start, right?
Yeah,
there.
so you got your one.
You're probably doing something now for a living that you didn't think you would be doing when you were writing the go-to guy column and prior to that, getting into writing. Is that true? I mean, this is not where you thought
Oh,
you'd
yeah.
be.
Well, doing an afternoon show at Cairo Radio, not in a million years did I think I'd be doing radio, because partly I thought I was going to retire at the PI, but the PI retired on me 9 years ago, and so I was in my early 50s trying to figure out what to do. And they started this new sports radio station there at Cairo, and got involved with that. But the main reason I never wanted to get into radio, to be honest with you, is that I've always had stage fright. And so I've never really wanted to go on the air. I still get nervous every day at 5 minutes to 3. I can feel my palms sweating a little bit, and I'm thinking about, oh my God, what am I going to say today about the Seahawks? And so all those things enter my mind. But yeah, I wanted to be a sports writer until I retired, and then I had to come up with something else, and fortunately Dave Pridemore there at Cairo gave me a chance, and been there 8 or 9 years now.
You know, it's good though. You are able to bring an element of what you do best, which is writing, a little bit of sarcasm, questioning authority, and also questioning what everyone's thinking. What I call the normal thinking, not normal thinking, but what everyone's thinking, only because they can't think for themselves. And you are coming in and undermining that, which I think is very valuable in radio. It really is.
Well, that's nice of you to say. I just basically, we have these meetings, performance evaluations and all that, and I listen to it, and I want to get better at what I'm doing, but for the most part, I just go in and try and be myself. And I literally, sometimes, Tony, I'll look myself in the mirror and I'll go, okay, I want to, just be yourself, and if it works out, great. And if it doesn't, I'll be in the unemployment office, but I'll still feel good that I wasn't trying to be somebody I'm not.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I get too negative, though. That's the only thing, and too cynical, too sarcastic. But I guess that's who I am. But I feel like, when you're the Seahawks station and the Mariners station, that you should slant everything toward the home team and be a fan of the team. But the way we learned journalism way back when, it was to be objective when we covered the teams. And so I think that I always think of that before I think of being a homer.
Yeah, and there has to be an element of that. There has to be
and yet I'm a fan, too.
Yeah, of course you are. No, and that comes through. I mean, I remember once when the Mariners were in a hitting slump in Griffey's early years, I said on TV they couldn't hit their way out of a paper bag. He didn't forget that for the next 10 years. He always brought that up around me in a good-natured way. Oh, can't hit our way out of a paper bag. But we were able to say it then because, A, we weren't the Mariner station. Mm-hmm. B, I felt, shoot, they can't hit their way. At the time, they couldn't.
Right.
So I thought that is, people want that refreshing attitude occasionally. You're not being cynical. You're just telling it like it is.
Isn't it funny how Griffey would remember that?
Oh, yeah.
And then you probably many times talked about how great Griffey was,
course.
too.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't bring that up to you. So, 95% of the time, I heard from Russell Wilson's agent a week or two ago, and he was upset about, what the heck was it? Something he was upset about. I think because I criticized Russell's clothing line, the Good Man brand, because it was too expensive for the average fan to be able to afford it.
Yeah.
And so he ends up sending me this email, and I'm thinking, 95% of the time I'm talking about how great your client is, but the 5%, that's when you hear about it.
Well, people are very defensive today. I don't want to get into a whole political thing, but everybody's on edge. Everyone is looking for a reason to be offended, in my opinion, and he found a reason, and he wrote about it, and frankly, he shouldn't have wasted his time on that. But that's just how I feel about that one. A couple of quick questions before.
How's this going?
Before we go, Jim, it's going great. This is super. I mean, I'm telling you. No,
I
loved
dressed
it.
up special for you,
You
and I
did.
shaved and I showered and
No,
everything.
I love it.
Is the hair okay?
This is the hair is, well, you know, the hair is another story. Because I was in that business for a number of years, as you know, and it may end up back in it, the way things are going. The most fun sports story you ever covered where you crossed over a fan journalist?
Oh,
the same
I
story.
got an easy one for that. It was down Lake Tahoe, and it was caddying for Charles Barkley.
Wow.
And it was he plays in that celebrity tournament every year, and everybody knows how terrible he is. And I just thought he was doing a conference call with writers, and I had two questions. My first one, I can't remember what it was, probably about his charity. The second one, I just said, "Hey, is there any chance I could caddy for you in the pro-am part of the tournament?" And shockingly, he said yes. So I ended up going down there. Friday night, I was looking for him. I was supposed to caddy for him, or I can't remember what night it was. It was the night before I was supposed to caddy for him. And he was in the high roller room. And I didn't know how to go in the high roller room because I'm not a high roller. And I think I saw Jeff Fiegels, and he convinced me, just go in there and act like you own it. And so I went in. Anyway, so I finally go up to him and I tell him, "Hey, Charles, I'm going to caddy for you tomorrow." And he goes, "Oh, yeah, okay." Anyway, the thing that stood out to me was that he was playing two hands of blackjack, and he had these color of chips that I'd never seen before. They were like a chartreuse-looking chip. Turns out they were $5,000 chips.
That's right.
He's playing $15,000 a hand, and he was basically talking to me, and the woman who was the dealer had to ask him if he wanted to hit, and it occurred to me that the money was so insignificant to him that he didn't have to pay attention to this $30,000 like I would have been. Anyway, we ended up getting out on the range the next day, and he can actually hit good shots. Hard to believe, but when he's on the range, he can hit good shots. But he's a complete circus once he gets out on the course. Everybody's seen it. He couldn't have been nicer, though. He was the whole day. We had a great time, and then I went back to my room there in Lake Tahoe and bought a 6-pack of beer, put it on ice, and I just banged it out in 2 hours as quick as I could. And it was probably it was so much fun to spend the day with him and then write about it. And that's one that sticks out to me.
Yeah, that's cool. And I think emotions come into writing. Obviously, you're going to write better when you're emotional, when you're feeling some emotions about a story. And if you can't get into a story, that's when it's the toughest to write, right? If you're at an event you really don't want to go to, it's tough to write it.
Yeah, it's it helps to have that deadline though, knowing that you need to get it done. And I enjoyed the challenge of it though when I did it. When I covered the Sonics for 6 years, and there were times like at the Forum after a game against the Lakers, and I would sit there and I knew it was an important game to a lot of people, and you had a half an hour to bang it out, and you needed to get it done. And then there's guys in there with blowers, trying to get everything out of the arena, and you've got all this commotion going on. But I really enjoyed it. I grew up in Redmond, and I wanted to be a sports writer, and I wanted to work at the PI, and I wanted to cover the Sonics. So it was really it was a thrill to be able to do that.
That is outstanding. Jim, I appreciate you jumping in on this, frankly, brilliant idea of a show, Talking with Tony in the Alfa. Thank you very much.
Well, I appreciate you having me, and if you're ever hard up for a guest down the road, if somebody stands you up, I live just down the road, so I bring my dog to this park. So
let's get River on here. River may have more to say than a lot of the people that are on the air right now.
Yeah, there he is. He's getting ready to drive the ridge line away there. Okay.
All right. See you next time, everybody.